Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're doing something a little different. We're going meta. We're going to pull back the curtain and show you the engine room, the exact blueprint we use to transform complex, detailed research into a clear and engaging explainer, all without losing a single ounce of the original information.
So how do you actually do it, right? How do you take something that's super dense and complicated and turn it into a video faithfully? And look, this isn't about some general tips. We're about to walk through a very specific, almost surgical methodology that's designed to do just that.
Okay, so our journey here has 5 stops. We're going to start with the why, the core philosophy. Then we'll get into the how, the strict rules, the changes you're allowed to make, how to handle data with precision, and then finally, what the finished script actually looks like.
All right, first up, we have to talk about the core principle. This is the North Star for the whole entire process, the fidelity mandate. So what does it even mean to have perfect fidelity? And, why is it so incredibly important?
So, the objective here is laser-focused. It's really not about giving you the gist or some quick summary. No. The goal is to create a direct one-to-one mapping of the original text into a new medium, making sure every single piece of information is preserved.
And this slide, this really gets to the heart of it. The process is called faithful informational mapping. You can think of it like this. The final explainer isn't supposed to be a painting of the source material. It's supposed to be a perfect mirror, reflecting everything exactly as it is, just in a different format.
Okay, so let's move on to the foundational principles. And these are actually defined by a set of really strict don'ts. These are the rules of preservation. What's so fascinating here is how these rules are all about what you can't do. I mean, look at this list. No reordering, no summarizing, no adding your own thoughts. It's really about creating a completely closed system. The information from the source goes in, and the exact same information comes out. Nothing is added, nothing is lost.
And here's what that looks like in the real world. On the left, you've got a common interpretation, right? The market panics. But the word panic might not even be in the original text. The faithful version on the right sticks strictly to the source, just describing the cause and effect without slapping on any interpretive labels.
And just to be crystal clear, this applies to everything. We're not just talking about the main paragraphs. We're talking footnotes, data tables, appendices. Every single piece of information has to make that journey from the source document to the final script.
All right, so now that we know what not to do, let's look at the only transformations that are actually permitted in this process. These are the things you can, and in fact, you must do.
So these 5 actions, they're the only transformations allowed. And if you look at them, you'll see a pattern. They're all about structure and format, turning text into narration, organizing it into neat sections, formatting tables. It's not rewriting. It's just repackaging the information for a new medium.
Now, data is where the details matter most. So it's no surprise this methodology has specific, super precise rules for handling all that quantitative information.
So let's take a number from a source document, something like this, 6.9%. How do you handle it? Well, the rule is simple. You preserve it. Exactly. It's not around 7%. It's 6.9%. The precision from the original source is completely non-negotiable. It has to be there in both the visuals and the narration, period. And that exact same principle of complete fidelity applies to tables. They have to be reproduced in their entirety, every column, every row, every little note, without any cherry-picking or summarizing the data.
Well, what about charts? You can suggest them, sure, but only if they visualize data that's already in the source. You can't just add your own trend lines or give it a title that draws some new conclusion. A chart's job is just to show the data, not to interpret it for the viewer.
Okay, finally, let's see how this all comes together into the required output format. This is the blueprint that production teams are going to work from directly.
So every single explainer has to start with this exact, non-promotional opening statement. And its purpose is just to set clear and accurate expectations for you, the viewer. You're about to get a direct rendering of the source, not a summary or an analysis.
The script's format's also strictly defined. It uses these simple markdown headings to structure the content. And this isn't just for neatness, it's absolutely crucial for making sure that every part of the script can be traced directly back to the original document.
And this separation, this split between visuals and narration is critical. It forces the creator to plan both elements in perfect sync, making sure they both correspond to the exact same piece of the original source.
And for any section that has complex data, like a table, a dedicated subsection is used. This just guarantees that the data is presented clearly and completely.
exactly as it appeared in the original document.
So, the ultimate takeaway here is that when you meticulously follow this blueprint, you create a final product with just unquestionable integrity and accuracy. It's not an interpretation, it's a high-fidelity informational map.
And that leaves us with a pretty big question to think about. I mean, we live in an age of AI that can summarize and interpret information in a split second, right? So what's the real value of perfect fidelity? Is there maybe a growing need for a purely objective, totally unspun version of the facts? Something to chew on.